Aye, so it's a good morning. Out of respect for the man himself, ICT, I always say that because I love it when he says it. He always hits us with the good morning. It is 5 p.m. over here, but it is a good morning, and I'm exhausted because I had an appointment early this morning. But that was before I hopped on the charts, so I had to wake up early, didn't like sleep as much as I wanted to. And yeah, then we had this interesting session. So let's start from the top. I saw these juice equal highs that were set up yesterday. Um, and my thought process was okay, we have this, but probably won't go that low. We have half of this wick. We have this. By the way, this is the 15-minute time frame um, because that's the bellwether chart. That's the all-encompassing chart. We have this wick. We have just this whole kind of swing from here to here. So I was just looking at a few things. So this was probably OT and stuff. Um, However, let's get into the nitty gritty. I was waiting for it to tank, you know. We get the discount. So this whole swing, right, went into discount under the 50% here. Um, Waited for 9:30. So I was obviously looking at it like way earlier, way over here. I was looking at this as well, all of these equal lows, and I really liked it taking this out right here, especially with all those equal highs. So I know my chart is a little bit cluttered right now. Let me just clean that up real quick, and I'm gonna explain my Fibonacci extensions because that's what I was using for my take profit. So firstly, before this move actually happened, I had this over here and I was gonna target this minus 0.5. But then once we had a clear low established, I dragged it from here all the way to the high, and I was targeting this. Obviously, it hasn't gone there yet. I think it'll go there at some point today, but that's not too important. I was trailing my stop loss. It got hit, and I'm out with some profit for the day, because I'm not about to leave profit on the table. We're not looking for big profit. This isn't even real money yet. It's just TopStep. So I want to get funded, and yeah, it doesn't really matter how much we make right now as long as we hit the profit goal eventually, without hitting the max loss first. So my first trade today, I saw all of these equal lows. Also, we had news at 8:30. So 8:30 was here. So right at 8:30, we had this go down, sweep these lows, sweep this low again, and then it went for these highs. So that was my first trade. Let me show you guys that. So I did take a couple of trades today. I'll show you all of the executions later on. So yeah, this was 8:30 right here. It swept all the lows and stuff, market structure break, all that good stuff, and then 15-second chart, 5-second chart, all that good stuff. Fair value gap here, fair value gap here. After it respected this, I was convinced because we have a fair value gap here. Body's closed nicely inside of it. Okay, one tick under, doesn't matter. Then we had another fair value gap here, and we had this inversion fair value gap, which makes this a balanced price range. So as soon as this closed, I was ready to buy it, but it went up really fast because this is a 15-second chart. So my entry was up here, but that's perfectly fine. My stop loss was like probably, I think it was under the consequent encroachment of this wick. So right here. And my first partial was these equal highs. So $200 to start off the day. I was really hoping that once it cleared this, it would just go. It would just go all the way up here. But it didn't do that. Probably should have anticipated a slow day since yesterday, we had, yeah, Wednesday we had like 200 points of movement. So Wednesday started here and it went all the way up here. So we had 250 points of movement on Wednesday. So obviously today, We might be expecting a little bit less movement, a little bit more choppy conditions, which I realize now, but I wasn't actually anticipating this prior to trading. So that's just a note for myself. So yeah, we took these highs and then I trailed this to like slightly above break even. And as you can see, I got smacked out just barely. So it went like a few ticks under here. And then I could have been writing this the whole time, but I didn't. And this would have been my take profit. Let me see exactly where. Oh, actually, I probably would have been stopped out because I would have been targeting this and it didn't actually get there. It did get there the second time, but first it cleared all of this. So I would have had to target like these highs or something like that, really specific. So that's okay. We got stopped out for break even on the second contract over here. Then I was like, okay, I still think it's going up. So I entered another long. Let's see, what do we have here? So we have this range being respected, this imbalance, and then we had this inversion fair value gap, half of it being respected right here. So I longed. It looks like I longed right here when this thing closed as like an immediate rebalance looking thing. So as soon as this opened, I was long. And yeah, so it cleared this high, but this was not enough range. It was like 5 points, so I wasn't too happy with this. I was really aiming for these highs all the way up here. So as soon as it like made a big movement, okay, my stop was, I don't know where exactly. I think it might have been down here, something like that. Or just under this fair value gap balance price range. I don't exactly recall where all my stops are all the time, but it was somewhere in this area. So it cleared these highs, came back down here, did pretty much nothing, and cleared this high again. So as soon as it cleared this high the second time, I trailed my stop above break even, and I was hoping that it would run for the highs, but it didn't. I think I had my first partial right above this high. But it didn't get filled, and then we got stopped out for break even, 20 bucks for both contracts, or 20 bucks per contract for both contracts, not including commissions. So then we had these equal lows. I was really interested in being long. I took a stop right here because I saw this fair value gap and these equal lows. I saw them get tapped, and then I saw this fair value gap with a break in market structure. So I was long in here. My stop was at half of this order block and I got stopped out. So I was only long one contract because I wasn't too confident in this trade because it didn't get fully filled and I thought it might run one more time. So yeah, in theory, if I thought that, my stop should have been all the way down here, but that's a little bit far. I was okay with just doing one contract and seeing if it doesn't run. So right after I got stopped out, it ran, of course, that's how trading works. And then into 9:30 over here. So I didn't take any trades at 9:30. I was looking at this short because what I wanted to happen was I wanted 9:30 to run straight down and then give me a fair value gap so I could long it. But what it did is 9:30 right over here ran straight up and then went down afterwards. So I considered this short, but my entire premise for the day was that I wanted to catch all of these equal highs. So all of this trend line over here, all of this trend line over here, can I remove the magnet? I was looking for this to be cleared out. So as soon as it cleared this out, I was quite happy to be long from here. However, on the 1 minute, on the 3 minute, on the 5 minute, on the 15 second, on the 5 second, I could not place an entry anywhere. So obviously there are entries. So after it cleared all of this, that was right here, There were fair value gaps and stuff. There were entries, but I didn't like all of this. Look, this trend line looking thing, I didn't like this. I wanted it to clear it one more time before going up. And then, okay, so it respected this fair value gap right here. So I was like, okay, if it taps into here, I'll take it. It didn't tap it. Then it chopped around, equal lows, equal lows, equal lows. None of it was taken. Nothing here, just patience. This could have been a potential entry in this fair value gap, but I wasn't sure what it would do because there's equal lows here. So I wasn't trying to guess, and that's going to be a pattern for today. I wasn't trying to guess when and where it would go. I was trying to be sure because, again, trading two contracts, I don't want to mess this up because it is a lot of leverage. But as long as I take good trades and control myself and be calm and all of that good stuff, it should be completely fine because my stops are really tight on the 15-second. So came up here, swiped these equal highs, and then it started breaking down. Okay, it came down here, did this equal low again, breakout long, nice trap, and it came all the way back down. So in this opening range and all the way until 10:30, look at the 1 minute chart, not a single fair value gap formed. 5 minute, nothing. All of this looks disgusting. So that's why I'm also so exhausted. It was not an easy session to trade, I would say. So I am quite happy with the result. There was this 3 minute fair value gap, which I was looking to get tapped because these were the equal lows that you were seeing on the 15-second. We can get rid of this now. Serve this purpose. So these were the lows that you saw on the 15-second right over here. It got smoked and 3 minute fair value gap tapped. Obviously the wick went a little bit outside, but after this I was ready to take longs. So it went up in a straight line, no entries here, nothing. I wasn't interested. And then at this point it was a little bit of a guessing game as to how, when, where exactly what would happen and where it would reverse. So we have this thing. I really didn't want it to like come back here. I wanted it to sweep these lows and make a fair value gap and then I'd long it. So this support resistance looking thing, you know, it came back here. I wasn't too impressed. But I was trying to long, I think maybe on the 5-second. Yeah, so at this point, I was a little bit, you know, impatient, frustrated because session was so slow and I knew it was going up, but I just had to stay calm and patient. And I am quite happy with myself. I only took 2 stop losses. You know, 1 break even and 1 win in the morning, and then finally I caught the move. We're going to talk about that in a second. So yeah, it came up here, it came back down, swept these. I am ready to take longs. So what do? 5-second, boom, fair value gap right here. Is it going to hold? Body's closed. Okay, it's going to run. We're long in here. Stop over here under this order block, mean threshold. Boom, stopped out. That's okay. Again, making another low. Fair value gap, is it holding? Yes, it's holding. Long it. Okay, stop over here under consequent encroachment of this wick. Boom, stopped out. And then we have the final run. I was like, okay, 1 2 3, nice. And then I was like, okay, let's get ready to long this again. At this point it was like closing this imbalance over here. Let's see what the 15-second looked like, just in case we're curious. We have these equal lows, boom, tapped in here. It didn't fully close this, and at this point I was like, okay, maybe it'll close it, maybe not. So I wasn't quite sure. So because it came up here into this fair value gap and made one more low, and then it broke structure. but I was trying to be sure this time because I've already taken 2 stop losses. I'm not interested in taking another stop loss. So I could have longed it right here, but I didn't because my stop would have to be all the way under this low, or yeah, like somewhere over here, but that's a lot of range. And now here I'm confident that it's going to go up because we really broke structure. We have a fair value gap, we have another fair value gap, and I was getting impatient, so my entry is quite literally at the top of this candle. So that's a little note for improvement. But because I missed this entry. I was looking, I think, yeah, so I was looking on the 15-second. So I saw this fair value gap and it closed above. I was like, okay, we are ready to go long. So it closed here, and then on the very next candle I longed it. So my entry was not terrible, but yeah, so my stop was under here, under the fair value gap. It came back one more time, nice and clean re-entry into the fair value gap, and then it was just going up in a straight line. So yeah, today was about patience a lot. I'm so exhausted. I'm having a tough time making this video, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna bang out the video and then we're gonna like chill out for the rest of the day. So yeah, high resistance liquidity run signature right here. 1, 2, 3. And then it swept all of this, came back up here, and re-entered in this fair value gap. Also, my entry was after it did this. So I saw on the 1 minute this inversion fair value gap. I had this marked out the whole time. Why this one? Because this one is like really big, so you don't really know where exactly it might stop. So we're using this one because it's more clear cut, at least for me. And also this BISI is really big, so yeah, it stopped at halfway of this SIBI right there. And yeah, so it cleared the lows. Let me zoom out. It cleared the lows, went into this fair value gap. After it was going down, right? It went down, cleared this, and then it started making structure to the buy side, cleared all of these, equal lows, more highs, broke the lows, and then I was ready to long it because we have this, retraced one more time because it's high resistance, right? And it's been chopping around all day. Retraced one more time, came back down here, and then it was ready to run. So 2 stops on this because I was kind of hoping that it would hold the first time, but it came back, rebalanced this, and then it held the second time on this inversion fair value gap. So I know this is a little bit long-winded, but I just want to describe how I saw it and why I managed to successfully trade this, what I think was quite a difficult session, because I want to be able to look back on this and consider it as me learning something. So once it held this, I was ready to long, and then it went up into the equal highs that I was waiting for all morning. So because I took 2 stops, I took my first partial really early. So at this high, immediately I took my first partial because $300 is like basically how much I lost, right? So stop 1, 130, stop 2, 160. That's basically 300. So right here, first contract off immediately at this high, even though I was really convinced that it would run for these highs, or yeah, for 75. So I could have held it like 10 more points and made 500 on it, but I was not trying to mess around, so I just took it off immediately as soon as it took the high. And I trailed, as I always trail my stop loss after I take my first partial. So my stop loss was like somewhere under this fair value gap. And when it did this fair value gap, I didn't move it. When it did this second one, I moved it to here. So basically just below my entry, because we haven't taken profits yet, so we don't need to put it break even. We're not risking getting stopped out of this trade before it runs. And then it went to my take profit really quickly, and then I moved my second contract to like here. So I wanted this to stay open, because if it takes a high like that and then retraces, usually it's not conducive of it going very much higher. So I moved my stop here, and I had this locked in and the second contract locked in. And then I waited, and I was trailing my stop very aggressively. So as soon as this closed above here, my stop was under this balance price range. So it was right here, and I was expecting it to leave this whole thing open. So then it made this fair value gap, and then my stop was at the mean threshold of this propulsion candle / order block. And then it went up here. My stop was at the wick, and then I moved it right below the bodies. So I was one tick from getting stopped out, but I didn't get stopped out. And then it went up here, cleared these highs, and then I put my stop below the consequent encroachment of this wick, and I got stopped out finally for a profit of 600 on this contract. So that was a lot of talking, but I think I covered basically my entire day. So a lot of orders. I'll show you what it looks like. But it did feel like I had a lot of control, and I was very calm. One of my entries was slightly in premium, not as nice as I would have liked, but it worked out. I had good stop management. And yeah, I never felt like I was FOMOing into a trade or anything like that. So it does look like a lot of orders, but there was this one pre-AM win into these equal highs. By the way, this is the same trade I took on Monday. So my first and second trade on this account were the exact same setup, except for on Monday it cleared the highs and I was looking for the lows. Here we have the consolidation, cleared the equal lows, and then fair value gap into the highs. So it's the exact same setup. It was just on a lower time frame. Then we had some break evens and stop outs in here because there was this fair value gap. And I barely got stopped out, but it's okay. So we didn't catch this whole move. I probably would have trailed my stop as well, so I wouldn't have gotten stopped out at break even. We would have made some profit, but it's okay. Then we were patient at the opening. So I waited for news and then I entered my trade. I didn't enter my trade before news because that's just too risky for TopStep, for, well, really any trading. You don't know how far the news is going to send anything, so probably just wait for it to make some fair value gaps, make some structure, clear some lows, and have a change of state of delivery, and then you can enter instead of trying to guess what the news is going to do. Same thing at 9:30. I wasn't trying to enter before 9:30, and at the opening it was really fast, and also I wasn't looking for shorts, and what it did was it went straight up and then down. So if it went down first, I would have been interested in taking longs right like at open, but it didn't do that. And then yeah, finally we had the actual move, which, yeah, 1040, 1043. That's when the actual move happened. That's when my entry was. So it was a lot of waiting today. But we managed to get a nice win. Yeah, and my final take profit was here, but we got stopped out, and I wasn't trying to wait through all of this chop afterwards. Like, if it's gonna go up, it's not gonna clear these lows, especially when the fair value gaps have been revisited multiple times. If it comes down, then it's just going to do this. So I feel perfectly fine trailing my stop loss, locking in profit. And if it runs, then I'm happy, I get extra money. But if it does this, then I'm also happy to be out of it, not trying to waste any mental capital waiting for it to move around, hoping that it eventually goes up there when we've already made profit. So yeah, this is what everything looks like. Account balance, these are all the orders. We don't have any working orders. Make sure to always click this exit market and cancel everything button, because if you have a limit order somewhere and you forget it, your account is going to be blown by tomorrow. Yeah, I think that's it. Quite happy with today. A bit slower than expected, but we managed to run it into these highs. Because yeah, yesterday got a little bit sad that we didn't get this entry into the highs. But today we are on our way to getting funded. And as long as I keep doing this, staying calm, and not taking any terribly bad trades, keeping my risk very low, and not over trading, not over leveraging, we are set. So yeah, that's gonna be it. Maybe tomorrow we can get some nice trades, maybe not. I might chill out for the rest of the week since we're already up 2,000 and we have an entire month. So I'm 2/3 of the way there in the first week. So I really don't need to risk losing too much. Just taking those A plus setups. And I know I've been talking for a really long time, but today was just that kind of day. It was really complicated and advanced. Um, yeah, it wasn't immediately obvious. Also, I did incorporate regular trading hours into my analysis. So we had this opening range gap, which I had marked out while I was trading. Um, I only mark the closing of the previous day because you can see where the open is based on your chart right now, based on the electronic trading hours. So you know where the chart is right now, but you don't know where it closed. It's not immediately obvious. So I was looking to see what was going on. I had this fair value gap marked out. We had these equal lows that were taken. So I also used this for my analysis. I was ready to long it after this, but again, no fair value gaps in all of this. Thankfully, 3 minute came in clutch. We had this one, and then we were ready to go long. Also on the 3 minute, there's this fair value gap, so there's some misalignment between them. 5 minute, even wider. But yeah, these bodies were looking good. Yeah. So at open, we had these lows. It went up here, set up equal highs, had a fake breakout to the downside one more time, and then market structure shift, cleared equal lows, and then ran up. So yeah, pretty complicated day, I would say. Not a lot of moving, but that's why I like the 15-second time frame. And today I was even on the 5-second because the 15-second was looking a lot like the 1 minute chart, to be honest. Not a lot of entries, not a lot of fair value gaps. And I like reading order flow so that I can keep my risk really tight, and then have a free look after my stoppage trail to break even. Have a free look into some profit. Okay, that was it. I'll see you guys in the next one.